Trump's election victory sparks Taiwan's concerns over U.S. support. Trump's defense budget demand could strain Taiwan's economy. Taiwan's national pension fund faces deficit, risks bankruptcy by 2052. Mount Fuji finally gets its first snow. Australia proposes ban on social media for those under 16. Investigators search Netflix offices in France and the Netherlands. Cuba's power grid collapses as Hurricane Rafael lashes. Raygun quits competitive breakdancing.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It's Friday, November 8th, and here are your top stories. And for today's Taiwan news, with Donald Trump re-elected as U.S. president, Taiwan faces growing worries. Trump's past statements, including his skepticism on defending Taiwan and accusations of Taiwan stealing U.S. chip businesses, have raised alarm. Japanese political analyst Yoshiyuki Ogasawara warns that Trump's win could shift dynamics, potentially benefiting China. Following Donald Trump's win in the 2024 U.S. election, media personality Huang Weihan warned that Trump's demand for Taiwan to allocate 10% of its GDP to defense could severely strain Taiwan's budget. This would require 2.3 trillion NT dollars, nearly 80% of Taiwan's total government budget. Taiwan's national pension fund is projected to run into deficit by 2027 and face bankruptcy by 2052, according to a report from the Labor Insurance Bureau. Even with a rate increase to 12%, the fund would still fall short, with recommended adjustments to 16% to prevent a shortfall. And in global news, Mount Fuji has finally gotten its iconic snow cap on Thursday, the latest of any year in 130 years of record keeping. Japan Meteorological Agency officials in the nearby district of Kofu reported that the snow cap on the nearly 12,300-foot high mountain appeared 33 days later than last year, marking the longest delay since observations began in 1894. The previous record was set in 2016 when Mount Fuji's first snowfall arrived on October 26th, while last year the first snow was on October 5th.
Mount Fuji, a national symbol of Japan, is a pilgrimage destination and UNESCO World Heritage Site that attracts hikers from around the world. It typically begins receiving snow in early October, about a month after the end of the summertime hiking season. In 2008, its first snowfall arrived unusually early, on August 9th. Thousands of tourists flock to nearby towns each year to capture photos of the iconic snow-capped peak, which becomes more visible in winter as the clouds that usually shroud it in summer gradually clear. This year's delay drew attention on social media, where images of Mount Fuji's snowless peak after an unseasonably warm fall sparked concerns about climate change. Officials say it's too early to determine whether climate change is responsible.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said Thursday that the Australian government will legislate a ban on social media for children under 16 as part of what it calls a world-leading package of measures that could become law late next year. Australia is trialing an age verification system to help block children from accessing social media platforms as part of a range of measures that include some of the toughest controls imposed by any country to date. Albanese said social media is doing harm to our kids, and I'm calling time on it.
Albanese cited the risks to children's physical and mental health from excessive social media use, particularly the risks to girls from harmful depictions of body image and to boys from misogynistic content. Several countries have already vowed to curb social media use by children through legislation, though Australia's policy is among the most stringent. No jurisdiction has yet tried using age verification methods such as biometrics or government identification to enforce a social media age cutoff. Legislation will be introduced in the Australian Parliament this year, with the laws coming into effect 12 months after being ratified by lawmakers. The opposition Liberal Party has expressed support for the ban.
Investigators searched the offices of U.S. streaming giant Netflix in France and the Netherlands as part of a preliminary investigation into tax fraud and money laundering. Searches were conducted simultaneously at the company's offices in Paris and Amsterdam by Dutch magistrates and investigators, accompanied by French counterparts. The French investigation, led by the PNF, a special financial crime prosecution unit known for pursuing high-stakes white-collar cases involving large international companies, was opened in November 2022.
A spokesperson for Netflix in France said the company was cooperating with the authorities, adding that it complies with the tax laws and regulations in all the countries in which we operate. Netflix in the Netherlands and the country's financial intelligence unit did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Cooperation between the French and Dutch authorities has been ongoing for many months. Large tech companies offering online services and subscriptions across borders often encounter challenges with European tax authorities. In 2022, Netflix agreed to settle a tax dispute with Italy by paying €55.8 million. Netflix stated on its website that it opened its Paris bureau in 2020, employing around 40 staff members at that time.
Cuba's national electrical grid collapsed on Wednesday as Hurricane Rafael slammed into the island's southwest shore, bringing sustained winds of 115 miles per hour and wreaking havoc on the already crisis-stricken country. The hurricane was trending about 60 miles west of Cuba's capital, Havana, on Wednesday night, after lashing the city of nearly 2 million people with driving rain and violent wind gusts. The Miami-based National Hurricane Center warned of a life-threatening storm surge, damaging hurricane-force winds and flash flooding around western Cuba.
State-run television reported that the entire population of 10 million people was without electricity. Conditions had deteriorated quickly by mid-afternoon in Havana, with wind and rain already downing trees and power lines on city streets. The capital is especially vulnerable to a hurricane strike and flooding, given its antiquated, densely packed housing and deteriorating infrastructure. Police cruisers with loudspeakers began circling central neighborhoods, urging people to shelter in place ahead of the storm. The timing could not be worse for the communist-run island, which just last month suffered another total collapse of its national electric grid, leaving the country without power for several days.
Raygun has announced the end of her professional breakdancing career, citing the online reaction to her performance at the Paris Olympics. The Australian dancer, who went viral for her unorthodox performance at the Games in August, said that while she is no longer going to compete, she still breaks at home with her partner, as it has become really difficult for her to do now. She said, "Dancing is so much fun, and it makes you feel good. And I don't think people should feel crap about, the way that they dance."
In a series of 3 round-robin matches, Gunn displayed breaking moves like rolling on her back, spinning on her head, and performing the kangaroo, a move unique to her. She received 0 points at the Olympics, leading many to wonder how she qualified for the Games in the first place. As videos of her performances went viral, so did conspiracy theories about her entry into the competition. One of the most popular internet rumors suggested she was an industry plant placed to rig the games. For Gunn, these theories were totally wild and impossible to process. She attributed her decision to stop competing to the negative perception of her on the internet and the unexpected level of publicity it brought.
The answer for yesterday was B, deter. The new security cameras were installed to deter potential vandals from damaging the property. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of Mount Fuji finally gets its first snow. Number 1, unseasonably. 非季节性的异常地. The weather was unseasonably warm for a winter day, with temperatures reaching 20 degrees Celsius. Number 2, snow-capped. 被雪覆盖的. The snow-capped mountains looked stunning against the bright blue sky. Number 3, visible. 可见的. The city skyline was clearly visible from the top of the hill. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section. The correct answer will be announced next week. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune in to Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I'll see you next time.